Okay, guys. You know, certainly, there'll be a lot of things going on as we begin to get into this, off season. We'll sit down over the course of this next week and really discuss. When I say we, I'm talking about myself, Mickey, Michael Parrington, Jeff Ireland, Kai, the powers that be. We'll sit down and discuss the season. We'll look at every aspect of our team, of our operation, where are places that we need to improve, and then we'll come up with a plan moving forward. Obviously disappointed in the record. I don't feel like it's certainly not the standard that we want to be here. Our goal is to win championships here, and so this year in that regard was not good enough, and I think we all know that, and we're going to work extremely hard this offseason to get those things fixed and put ourselves back in a position where we're competing for championships.
Have you talked to Mickey at all yet, kind of after the season? And if so, what was kind of the tone of the message of that talk moving forward?
Look, it was just kind of some preliminary discussions. Nothing concrete, but just more or less some preliminary discussions. We talked about, kind of the schedule for this week, in terms of us getting together and really taking a deep dive into the team, into the organization, and things where we feel like we can work to improve.
Dennis, you said the words nothing concrete. Just want to make sure it's clarified. Does there need to be any clarification that you're definitely remaining a coach? Did he need to say that, or is that obvious?
I don't think there's any need to discuss that any further. And I'm certainly going forward with that, anticipation. That's the indication that I've been given, and I'm excited about it. Look, again, 7-10 is not where we want to be, but we're not as far off as maybe some might think. But there's areas that we have to improve on.
And what would be the timetable for any staff changes?
No timetable. I think that's the worst thing that you can do is set timetables as to, we got to do this by this time. I think there's a methodical approach to, what we want to do. The key is making sure that whatever decisions that we make the right decisions. And I don't think there's a timetable on making right decisions.
Has anyone asked to speak to any of your assistants at this point already?
Not to my knowledge.
And how does
But I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case.
How does co-defensive coordinator work under that rule that you can't block? Like, can you, if somebody wants to talk to one of
Well, I think we'll go down that road if we need to go down that road. But yet, I think we've always kind of taken the approach that if somebody has an opportunity for advancement in our league, that we don't really want to stand in their way. I mean, obviously within the divisions, a little bit of a discussion, but yet, I think we've always been around here hopeful that you want to be able to put the best staff together that you can, but yet you also want to see opportunities for advancement.
Coach, is this going to be one of the more creative off seasons? Being that right now you don't have a #1 salary cap situation, and the record you have, is this going to be more creative than you've been involved in the past?
Creative. I don't know. I mean, I think in terms of the salary cap, I think our guys, Mickey, Kai, those guys have always been pretty creative in being able to manage that.
But making moves I'm talking about, player draft and things like that.
Well, certainly as we sit here right now, we don't have a first-round draft choice, so that takes one element out of our hands right now. But there's a lot of things that happen between now and the draft There's a lot of things that happen throughout the entire offseason. We'll set a plan in place, and then we'll be able to adjust that plan as we see fit.
Is it fair or unfair to say that maybe stabilizing the quarterback position is potentially the biggest offseason?
I think the quarterback position is always going to be the biggest position, and so certainly that'll be a position that we'll evaluate as will everything else.
You said that we're not as far off as some might think. Can you kind of elaborate as to why you feel that way?
Yeah, well, look, I think there's a young nucleus of players that I think we can build on going forward. I was pleased with, the way that we, kind of changed the tide a little bit defensively. I thought the last half of the season, I thought we were one of the better defenses in our league, and so I think there's some foundational pieces that we can build on. Certainly, we've got to do a better job of finishing. I think I said that last night. There's I can think of Cincinnati, Tampa, this last game against Carolina, go back earlier in the year against Minnesota. I think there were some opportunities for us to close some games out and finish some games. We didn't get that done, and so that's going to be an area that if we can learn how to finish games and close some of those games out, not only this season but seasons in the future will be different.
And then going back to the quarterback situation, do you feel like we have a good enough evaluation on James?
Yeah.
He was pretty publicly upset when y'all went ahead with Andy after he got injured. Does that complicate things at all with him still being under contract next year?
I don't think so. Look, I mean, you want everybody. I mean, all these guys are competitors. They want to be out there. They want to be playing. So I get that. That's not to be unexpected.
What is the evaluation of Jameis? I know we've talked about you went with Andy because of what Andy brings.
Yeah.
What held Jameis back from getting an opportunity?
Well, look, I think initially it was the injury issue, and then as time went on, I felt like Andy was the one that gave us a better opportunity to win. We didn't win enough games, and so all those things are always going to be questioned and second guessed. I don't know if second guess is the right word, but be questioned, and I'm comfortable with that.
Is that based on what you saw in practice, or partially because?
Look, everything's a whole, a full evaluation. Everything gets taken into account.
Dennis, do you think it's hard when you move on from a guy who's a first ballot Hall of Famer in that position, that there's some kind of typically teams go through a transition?
They absolutely do, and first ballot Hall of Famers don't grow on trees, and that happens to be the most important position, on the football team. So yes, there's a transitional period that goes involved in that, and so we're in the midst of that.
So as far as like in the midst of that transition in the evaluation process, is it urgent maybe to turn over every rock and every stone when you evaluate every possible quarterback possibility, whether it be?
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. Yeah, I think we'll turn over every stone. And again, that's part of what this process is going to be as this week unfolds, is trying to set a plan in place for, how we want to move forward.
I know, I guess, trying to think of the best way to ask this. I know last year when you were hired, you were part of the foundation, and the success here in the continuity was important. But after 7 and 10, do you think maybe it's time to maybe let some of the past go and maybe chart a new path forward?
Well, look, again, I mean, I know we're all looking for, what's the exact plan moving forward. I don't think that one day after a, 18-week, 17-game season is the time that all those questions are answered. I think this is the time to evaluate those things and come up with a plan as we move forward. And so certainly, as I said already, that 7 and 10 is not what we expect to be our standard around here. And so we've got to look at everything to try to improve ourselves.
Can you give us an indication, more in the context of how we just reviewed the entire season's worth of film leading up to this point. On offense, what you felt like some of the biggest obstacles ended up being to their success, whether it's any key injury or something like that.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of factors that go into that. There was a lot of injury issues. You lose a number one receiver for most of the year. Had a lot of injuries on the offensive line up front. And we weren't able to make some of these critical plays in critical times that could have, whether it be finished off drives and scoring, closing out games, some of those things. We weren't good enough in those areas.
Dennis, to follow up on the question before, it might be too early to ask this, but do you anticipate making a change in offensive coordinator?
Yeah, again, that's not where we're at right now. I think, look, we're going to evaluate everything. We're going to evaluate, just like I get evaluated. We're going to evaluate where we need to improve, and that evaluation has not taken place yet. But that'll happen here shortly, and we'll have a plan moving forward.
And then heading into the offseason, how do you approach the offense now as the head coach, just in contrast to being the before?
Well, look, ultimately, I'm responsible for the success or failure of the team. And so, I understand that responsibility, and I look forward to the challenge of improving our team.
Is there things as a head coach that you learned this year that you will do differently? Can you share any of those with us?
Well, you learn a lot every single day. I don't know that learning is what it was as much as, there's something different that comes across your desk every single day. There's so many things that we deal with behind the scenes that, aren't for public knowledge. But yet, look, again, I'll say this again. I realize that the success of this football team ultimately falls on the head coach. It wasn't good enough this year, but yet I'm encouraged. I'm discouraged in terms of I felt like there were some opportunities for us to win more games than we did. That's discouraging for me, but I'm encouraged by some of the things that I saw with some of the young players, and feel like I see a path to success as we go into the future.
Dennis, have you guys already made a decision on Michael Thomas, the terms of that contract make it feel like sort of an agreement?
No, again, there's been no decisions made on anything to this point. I think that was more of a, it kind of gives us, I guess, and him just a little bit more flexibility in terms of what we do as we set our plan going forward.
How difficult is today knowing there's going to be some players and coaches that may
Yeah, look, I think I've said this morning that, I think the toughest days in our league are the first day after you finish playing, and cut down day. I think those are the two toughest days in the National Football League. So, you pour your heart and soul into, from the moment you get into training camp in late July, and your whole focus is totally on football and trying to improve, and then, all of a sudden the season's over. And so now you got to reset yourself and start working towards next year.
You've always spoken very highly of Davenport's ability. Maybe from a numbers standpoint, he didn't have the year he had last year. Have you thought about the possibility that you may not have him next year? How do you approach that?
Yeah. Again, I know you guys all want specific answers, and those are hard to give right now. But certainly, yeah, we've thought about that, as you do with anybody that's a unrestricted free agent, and so that'll be part of the evaluation process where we're at. I think he's still a guy that we would like to have here, but we'll see how the offseason plays out.
Along those lines, with Peyton Turner, looking like it was a healthy scratch yesterday, what's kind of held him back from?
Well, the number one thing has been availability. That was the first thing, and then look, that's a position that we have a lot of pretty good players at. Cam, Marcus, Carl, Tano, Peyton, like we've got some pretty good players at that position, and so he's a young player that needs to continue to work to develop.
How hard when you look at the medical side of things? I know that's something that.
All of it.
Struggled with the last couple.
All of it. All of it. We're going to look at what we do from a personnel standpoint. We're going to look at what we do from a coaching standpoint. We're going to look at medical equipment, the whole, like, that's what you do. Every season, when the season's over, you sit down and you evaluate all aspects of your program and what are the things that we're doing well, all right, and what are the things that we have to improve on. So all of that will be part of our, off-season evaluation.
Is that something, though, that you all really need to get, I don't know, if you've been confounded by the injury? I know it goes around the league. I know it's part of the game, but the last couple of years,
Well, we've certainly been hit hard by injuries. I think this year I was encouraged that we had less soft tissue injuries, which I think are things that we can kind of minimize. I think those are things that you have a little bit of control over. Some of the other structural injuries are just part of the game. But I think we have to look at, all right, how do we try to prevent some of these injuries, and then when they do occur, how do we return to play faster? And so we'll look at that. Yeah.
Dennis, how difficult is the evaluation of Michael Thomas, considering he's only played a handful of games the last 3 years?
Yeah. Look, I think that's it's a tough evaluation. But yet I know that when he's been healthy for us, he's been a game changer type player. So again, we'll look at all these things.
With the reworked contract, is that something you guys approached him about, or was it kind of a?
That's probably a better question for Mickey in terms of that. He handles most of those things.
Dennis, talk a little bit about how important undrafted free agents have been to this organization. I mean, Shai Tuttle, started since day one, Lewis Kidd, Raheem. I mean, y'all guys have uncovered undrafted free agents that have been really important to this organization. We're not in the same business that maybe you are in major college football, where you've got, whatever it is, 25 scholarships. I don't know what the rules are now, but you've got an ability to bring in abundant of players each and every year. We don't have a transfer portal. I guess that's free agency. So you've got to utilize every avenue that you have to try to acquire players, whether it be undrafted free agents, whether it be through free agency, whether it be through the draft. I think our personnel department's done a really good job of, identifying players that have a skill set, and then it's our job as coaches to grow and develop that.
Was Trevor Penning able to avoid a major?
Trevor's going to have surgery. He had a Liz Frank injury, much similar to Caesar. But the question was asked of me last night, what I think about how he played. I got a chance to watch the tape, and I thought he played really well. I was highly encouraged by the way he played the left tackle position. I think he got beat inside on an inside pass rush fairly early in the game. I thought he made a great adjustment afterwards, and I love the player's mentality about the way he plays the game. He plays the game tough, physical. He plays it nasty with a lot of tenacity.
That's the opposite foot of the original.
It's a right foot.
How does your wider perspective as in your coaching career affect when you say you feel like you're not that far away? Is it like looking at how 2016 was a 7-win season, and that was right before a really good era?
Yeah, look, I mean,
seeing how it
look, I've been here now 13 out of the last 17 years, I think it is, and I've been through 10-6 playing in the NFC Championship game, 7-9, 8-8, win a Super Bowl. I've been a part of, 15, 16, 7-9 seasons, and playoff team 17, 18, 19, 20. So I've seen how you can turn that around. And so that'll be our focus in what we're trying to do moving forward.
Well, obviously, a goal of his is to bulk up during the offseason. How much would that benefit his game?
I think that'll be good for him. Last night I said, look, he had a good rookie year. But there's still a lot of things that he can improve on and get better at. And, being able to play this game bigger, stronger, one of the elements that I don't think we had as much as we needed this year was a contested ball catcher, and so I think when you get in some of these tough, third down situations, got to have it, the guy that, man, I'm going to make the contested catch. I think that's important.
I know there's certain points during the season that turn out to be very big. Will you evaluate the last 4 minutes against Tampa and what happened there? Do you think that was really the thing that kept you out of the playoffs, was the inability to close out that game?
Well, I think it was a big part of it. When you go back and you look at that game, you'd say, Mark, obviously came up 1 yard short. We had a play on third down that was a run with a potential, smoke off of it, which is typical in our league. We didn't convert. The way that game was going and the way that we were playing on defense at that point in time, punt the ball, pin them down there. And then Tom Brady did Tom Brady things. And look, when you have an opportunity to put a team away, you have to put them away. And we didn't do that this year. Offensively, defensively, in the kicking game, we didn't do that enough. And that'll be something that, for us to be the type of team that I think we can be, that'll be something that we need to improve on.
Have you heard from Gail Vincent at all? Have you had conversations with her in the season or support at all from her?
Well, yeah, we've talked throughout the season, but, I feel like I've got Mrs. B's support. She's been nothing but outstanding for us. And I'm sure that at some point we'll sit down and visit. But no, I have haven't specifically sat down with her after the season and went through a rehash of the season.
As you do the evaluation, how do you go about the self-evaluation?
That's a hard, how do you go about, you sit down and you think about it and you write down things. All right, what did I do well? What did I not do well? Part of that is not just self-evaluation, but I'll ask Mickey, Michael, Jeff, coaches, hey, what'd you think? What did I do well? What did I not do well? And I'll take that information and try to grow from it.
How impressed were you by Michael Hodges and what he was able to do with the linebackers group this season?
Yeah, I thought Mike did a nice job. He works extremely hard. It's important to him. He's a good staff guy, and I thought you saw some growth and development of some of those young players.
In a lot of instances, injuries will make a decision for you, but from a philosophical perspective, how do you kind of balance, maybe playing a veteran versus playing a rookie or a young player who needs to play to improve throughout the season?
Well, I think the number one determining factor is who gives us the best chance to win. And that's always going to be the driving force behind any decision that you make. And certainly you want to grow and develop these young players. But, our job is to win. And so that'll always be the driving force.
Aside from Trevor, is anyone else scheduled for surgery?
Off the top of my head, I can't think, at least significant, surgeries. I know there's always going to be a few that are more minor, but I think Trevor's the only one that I got today that was, kind of a significant surgery that he's going to have.
Coach, the Eagles are gonna wind up with a really good pick in the first round. It's almost a year later. Do you feel like what you've seen from Olave and Penning?
I like the 2 picks we got. I like the 2 picks we got a lot, and so I think they'll be a big part of, our team going forward. So yeah, I like those guys.
Dennis, you evaluating Will Lutz, I mean, is there anything you all can put your finger on why his consistency
Yeah.
isn't as good?
Yeah, I don't know if there's any one thing that we can put our finger on. Obviously, I don't think he kicked as well as, he's capable of kicking. I think Will would probably say that, And so we all have, starting with me, we all have things that we have to improve on and be better at. And so I don't think any of us can look ourselves in the mirror and say, man, I did everything exactly right this year. I think we all got to look ourselves in the mirror and say, what can I do better, to help this team be where we feel like we're capable of being.
Coach, will you watch the TCU Georgia game tonight? Any interest?
I hadn't thought of it, to be honest with you. I know there's a couple players on the team that are highly invested in that, but I haven't really given that much thought yet.
So Carolina only threw 15 passes in yesterday's game, but you got an opportunity to see Alontae Taylor opposite Marshawn Lattimore. Is getting that specific pair a little bit of extra evaluation, is that helpful?
Yeah, anytime you get a chance to watch these guys play, it's a helpful evaluation. I thought we played pretty good pass defense really this entire season, and so I think that there's another area that I think is encouraging. If we can stay healthy in the back end. I thought Tyrann Mathieu towards the back half of the season played really, really well. It was a hell of a play that he made in the game yesterday, and so I'm encouraged by that group back there.
Is there a way you can get Debo, Taylor, and Marshawn at the same time? I know it's hard this year with.
Yeah, I think those are things again that we'll look at. I think our goal is to get our best 11 guys on the field. However, we have to get our best 11 guys on the field.
Can I have just a quick moment of levity?
Sure.
Yesterday was the first time since I think '85 you wore white pants with the black jerseys. Some of us liked it, some of us hated it. Do you have any opinion on the fashion of yesterday?
So they came to me, I guess it was early this week, it might have been last week, I don't know, and asked me what I thought, and I said, what do the captains think? And I said, if the captains like it and it's unanimous, let's go with it. And that was the last I had any part in that. And then we showed up on game day, we had white pants and black jerseys, so they must have liked it.
Did you like them?
Yeah, I liked the look. It was kind of cool. Not that I'm a fashion expert. All right? Okay, guys, thanks. Appreciate you guys.